In Breathitt County is receiving $1 million to help with the construction of a new housing development to benefit flood survivors.
And the forecast is looking soggy through tomorrow. Those details coming up as Mountain News at 6 starts now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Attorney General Daniel Cameron has filed a lawsuit against 3 major pharmacy benefit managers about insulin pricing. With almost 500,000 Kentuckians living with diabetes, experts say the price of insulin is key. WYMT's Madison Carmouche has more on what this means for patients.
People who require insulin know that it is not a want, but a need for their body to function.
Yeah, I mean, over the years in practice, I've seen several times where patients, for one reason or another, whether it was their flooding and the loss of their insulin or the fact that they can't afford it and just don't take it, that they're going to end up hospitalized, especially a type 1 that has to have insulin.
The price of insulin is not a new conversation, but with Attorney General Daniel Cameron's lawsuit, there may be a new solution.
Number one, PBMs need to be regulated. They need to be overseen and regulated. You know, they try to blame these prices on the drug companies when in fact, you know, it's them pushing those costs onto the patients.
The professionals at primary care centers of Eastern Kentucky say they are working to make sure patients get their medicine, even if they cannot afford it.
So we see it a lot. Probably every day, at least every other day. You have patients that can't afford to pick up their medications. We try to work in-house here. We have the ability to get samples for very expensive drugs, and there's different programs that these patients can be a part of.
Dr. John Jones says he hopes this lawsuit will fix the issues in the long run, but for now, he will do what he can for his patients that are struggling. In Perry County, Madison Carmouche, WYMT Mountain News.
The pharmacy benefit managers included in that lawsuit are CVS Caremark, Optum Rx, and Express Scripts. They are allegedly increasing prices for patients to increase their own profits. Governor Andy Beshear wants the state legislature to fund more police raises and protection next year. The governor says state troopers should receive a $2,500 pay raise, body armor, and officers should receive thousands of dollars in stipends for training. He's calling on Kentucky lawmakers to approve the measures as they draft a budget next session. State Trooper Billy Ball says body armor saved his life during the ambush in the Allen community of Floyd County last year.
Everyone who attempted to engage the shooter that day was either shot or killed. The shooter was never seen by many until he surrendered and he was arrested.
Kentucky House Speaker David Osborne says the legislature is the most pro-police in history and says they will review the governor's proposals. It's been a hot topic since the Republican-led legislature passed Senate Bill 150, gender-affirming health care for minors. We've long heard that gender reassignment surgeries do not happen here in Kentucky. And tonight, as Samantha Valentino shows us, a newly released letter from UK Healthcare is now changing that narrative.
Monday, Attorney General Daniel Cameron's campaign shared this letter from UK Healthcare addressed to Republican Representative James Tipton. The letter states UK's Transform Clinic, quote, has in recent years performed a small number of non-genital gender reassignment surgeries on minors, adding that the clinic does not perform genital reassignment surgery on minors. WKYT is working to independently obtain this letter from UK. In the meantime, they sent us a statement confirming this information, adding that the number of surgeries is, quote, so small that providing a number would potentially identify a patient. Cameron's statement claims Governor Beshear, quote, can't stop lying about gender reassignment surgery for minors, end quote. As Beshear has previously stated, these procedures don't happen in Kentucky. A spokesperson for Beshear's campaign told us, quote, no reports from the medical community of such surgeries have been provided to the governor's office.
Often information doesn't flow to the top, so you can have a leader say, this isn't going on here, and later on they find out from someone lower down in the chain, yeah, actually it is.
The letter is postmarked March 2nd. Leading some to question why it wasn't released until now.
This letter should have been presented during the bill's passage.
Michael Frazier is a Republican LGBTQ advocate.
For them to release this them being a campaign and then our General Assembly felt the need to release this for political expediency on a race instead of when this issue mattered during the passage of these bills. It's highly distasteful.
In a statement to WKYT, spokesperson for the Republican Party of Kentucky, Sean Southard, said, quote, Andy Beshear's team says he checked with the Fairness Campaign instead of the hospital to see if gender reassignment surgeries for minors were taking place. That's absurd. In Frankfort, Samantha Valentino, WKYT.
To read the full letter from UK Healthcare and the statements from the Beshear and Cameron campaigns, go to WYMT.com.
We are still watching out for showers to increase across the mountains as we go into tonight. Right now, though, most of us are dry. Here's a live look from the Pikeville Medical Center. And as you can see, clouds do continue. That current temperature is below average at 79 degrees over in Pike County right now. Most of us in the upper 70s and lower 80s. 81 for Manchester, 80 in London, up to 82 over in Harlan County at this hour. But as we go through the rest of your evening, notice those temperatures fall into the upper 60s and lower 70s as we wake up on Thursday, as more showers are going to be possible. As we see right now, most of us are dry across the mountains, but notice back to the west, not too far away, more showers over central Kentucky, also central Tennessee, and this weather system will continue pushing off to the east. And as it does so, those showers are going to increase across the mountains. Those temperatures fall into the upper 60s by Thursday, and again, some heavier showers cannot be ruled out overnight. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. A man charged in connection with the death of a child in Whitley County has been indicted in connection with the death of another child. The Whitley County Commonwealth's attorney tells us in an indictment filed last week, Jordan Blake Taylor is now charged with the July 2020 murder of a baby in Clay County. In the new indictment, he's accused of smothering that child. Police originally arrested Taylor and the Whitley County child's mother back in April. A Williamsburg woman is facing serious charges after a recent fight with her boyfriend. It happened last weekend when Williamsburg police responded to a domestic violence call near the intersection of US 25W and Savoy Clear Creek Road. The police report says during the altercation, a wooden stick was used in the fight between 36-year-old Jessica Milladantry and her boyfriend, Damian Knowles. Both were arrested and taken to the Whitley County Detention Center. A Whitley County woman is facing charges after police learned she'd been cashing checks from a closed account. Williamsburg police arrested 34-year-old Tasha Satterfield last Friday. She's accused of writing and cashing checks at a business from an account belonging to someone that had died. During the investigation, police recovered several stolen checks. Satterfield is charged with theft by deception and criminal possession of a forged instrument. A Lexington teacher arrested on child pornography charges made his first court appearance this afternoon. 49-year-old Kevin Daniel Lentz was picked up early Tuesday morning by Lexington police, facing nearly 24 charges related to child pornography. Fayette County Public Schools say he's been working for them since 2005. Parents have spoken about the situation, saying it's extremely concerning.
When we send them off to school or whatever program they're in, we're not expecting something bizarre to happen, and when it does, it makes you a little angry and it makes you wonder, like, should I have them in school or would it be better to homeschool them? You know, things of that nature.
The judge entered a not guilty plea on Lentz's behalf. His next court appearance is set for Friday, August 18th at 8:30 a.m. There is a mail scam going on in Laurel County involving the Internal Revenue Service. People have reported receiving mail claiming to be from the IRS out of Houston, Texas. Gilbert Achardo with the Laurel County Sheriff's Office says you should always contact them yourself regarding anything to do with the IRS.
Individuals should call. They should get it online and get the actual official phone numbers and call the IRS and talk to them on the phone. That's the best way to clear that up. Don't freak out.
Deputy Achardo also says if you feel you've become a victim of this scam or have received any mail from the IRS that looks suspicious, you can call or stop by the Laurel County Sheriff's Office. $1 million to replace a 10,000-gallon tank with a 300,000-gallon tank will be awarded to the city of Jackson in Breathitt County. WYMT's R.J. Johnson talked to Mayor Laura Thomas about what this means for their flood relief efforts.
The city of Jackson will receive $1 million to extend wastewater and water services into the northern part of the city, where more than a dozen flood survivors will soon call home.
So this is a bright star, an exciting time that we can say that we're at least going to have those 14 new houses, and that this project and these federal funds will be used to help support that project.
Jackson Mayor Laura Thomas says even though they're happy to get the funding, sometimes it's frustrating because it takes a while to get.
We do need that, but they have to recognize that federal dollars don't move quickly. So we're happy that we have been assigned federal disaster dollars, but the things that we need to do just they're not happening fast enough. And I mean, that's just part of it.
Saying there are a lot of steps before completion.
We get the funding announcements, and that's awesome news. But folks just need to recognize that we have to go through a lot of hoops before we can actually access the funding.
However, she says officials are moving faster than usual.
They have, whether it was federal or state level, they have tried to move quicker than ever. So even though it's generally very slow, it's not as slow as usual.
Thomas says she will continue to work through any obstacle that comes her way to make sure the people of Jackson and Breathitt County will be safe. In Jackson, R.J. Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
Thomas says this is not the only project they are working on. She says they are still accepting and reviewing home buyout applications. She says to call either her or the judge executive's office for more information.